This week, Siskel and Ebert review psychic Demi Moore's stirring up Greenwich Village in The Butcher's Wife. Kelly Lynch befriends homeless Jim Belushi and his sidekick, Curly Sue. And the Rolling Stones are 5 stories high at the max.
Take this stick, and I want you to crack me right on the top of the head, all right?
Forget it.
Honey, you have to do it.
James Belushi and little Allison Porter are homeless in Chicago, but not for long in Curly Sue, one of the big new fall movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Our first movie is named Curly Sue, and this is a cornball exercise in sentimental manipulation, but I don't care because it works.
What?
Sometimes, even when you think you know all the tricks, a movie will sneak up on you anyway. And at some point during Curly Sue, I honestly started really caring about these characters, maybe because the performances were so warm and convincing. The movie stars James Belushi as a drifter and Allison Porter as a junior league conwoman who's been traveling the highways with him. They support themselves with scams like this one where she gives him a bump on the head and he pretends that somebody's car ran into him. They pull their scam on a high-powered lawyer played by Kelly Lynch, and she falls for it. After soaking her for dinner, the two vagabonds hit the road again, although Curly Sue thinks they could have taken her for even more.
We wouldn't even be talking about this if you got some money out of that lady. We'd be on the road. We didn't because she was too pretty.
She was too smart.
And she was too pretty.
She was in a hurry.
And she was too pretty.
She was going to catch on to us.
And she was too pretty.
But their paths are destined to cross again. Curly Sue's big brown eyes melt the lawyer's heart, and she takes them into her home.
This is very excellent. I never knew pizza was so good when it was hot.
Here's a nice quiet moment between the little orphan girl and the woman who has started to care for her.
All the stuff that happens to women, I already know. The boobs, the kissing, the babies, the crabby time, the not wearing lipstick till you're 16, the underwear bank robbers wear on their faces.
There's a little more to it than that.
Curly Sue was written and produced by John Hughes, who writes and/or produces about 4 movies a year, but this is the first film he has directed in 2 years, and I think it ranks with his best work like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yes, it's a simple and predictable story, but plot twists are not what this movie is about anyway. It's a heartwarming fantasy with a lot of warmth and a lot of humor, and to my surprise, I found myself caring about the characters and really getting involved in their story. And by the rude and annoying off-screen noises that you have been emitting, I take it that you do not agree.
I'm floored because I really have at least enough respect for you to think you would fall.
You're the guy that liked the John Hughes movie about the 2 people trapped in the grocery store that even he didn't want to have released.
Okay.
So
career opportunity.
You've got a great track record.
I'll take career opportunities over this picture anytime. My problem was that I didn't like the little girl. I thought she was unctuous. There was no chemistry whatsoever between Belushi and Kelly Lynch. And you could
terrific chemistry.
And
during that piano solo?
No, let me tell you something. You can tell that even Director Hughes knew that there wasn't chemistry because on their concluding kiss, he shoots it from the back of his head. He realizes that if you see these 2 people in profile, that they don't even work together. I wanted to enjoy this picture, and I was surprised that John Hughes, who can do good work, and to compare this to Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, ridiculous. I don't even think you really believe that.
I really do believe that. Yes, I really do.
Okay.
And to give a thumbs up to career opportunities and then make that statement really undermines your position.
We're reviewing Curly Sue. Okay, our next film is House Party 2, a sequel to the surprise hit comedy about middle-class black kids having fun at a high school dance party. I think part of the appeal of that original film may have been that it was the black equivalent of the kinds of films that John Hughes has made so well about the white teenage experience. The sequel, however, places the same kids in college now, including the character known as Kid, played by Christopher Reed. Also hanging around the school is Kid's best buddy, nicknamed Play, played by Christopher Martin. He's always scheming.
Yo, think about it. A house party. Oh, house party? Yo, man, not just any house party, the mother of house parties, man. A pajama jammy jam.
The sequel is burdened by trying to be socially relevant as Kid's girlfriend, played by Tisha Campbell, gets lectured by a fellow student played by rapper Queen Latifah.
I like men, but I don't need one to define me. And any woman who wants to define herself, by herself and for herself, just has to free herself of all that tired, lame, male bullshit.
Pick a color. Any color.
House Party 2 is quite tedious until the expected dance party that concludes the movie.
Come on, girl, let's do this. Do it.
I think that where this sequel misses the boat is that the first House Party film was at its best when it depicted middle-class life as it is lived. Scenes like Kid being forced to stay at home by his disciplinarian father and then sneaking out to the dance party. People could relate to that. This time, new filmmakers try to make the picture contain a dance party and every socially important theme that Spike Lee has been making his films about for the last half-dozen years, and House Party 2 doesn't hold up to Spike Lee's School Days or Do the Right Thing. I would have much preferred more dancing and less speech making.
Well, I think there is a lot of music and not as many speeches as you say in this film, but I was also disappointed in it. I think that one character I missed, and you mentioned him, was played by the late Robin Harris in the last film. He was the father, and he was the anchor of that film because then he provided a reacting force that the kid had to somehow rebel against and also learn from.
Right.
Here, Kid's at college, he's all by himself. They bring in a couple of characters like the Martinet who runs the cafeteria and the stupid dean. There's always a stupid dean in the movies. And so there's no real tension that means anything. And then also, there isn't that question, for example, about whether or not he should go out with the girl who lives in the project or whether he should go out with the girl who lives in the nice house. All of those issues that were really meaningful are missing here.
This is just another college dance party sequence, and if they were going to play that, then I thought they should have done more dancing.
Okay, coming up later, the Rolling Stones star in a concert film made in the IMAX process. That's the process that uses a screen that's 5 stories high, and we're going to preview that. Coming up next, Demi Moore plays the butcher's wife.
Well, what I say and what people hear aren't always the same thing.
On November 1st comes the motion picture event of the season. It's a story of power.
Let me explain something to you in plain English.
Ambition.
I built this organization, the beer, the unions.
Seduction.
I'm not making it easy for you, am I?
Betrayal.
Oh, Weinberg's double-crossing us.
Touchstone Pictures presents Dustin Hoffman, Nicole Kidman, Lauren Dean, Bruce Willis, Billy Bathgate. Rated R. Starts Friday, November 1st at a theater near you.
Remember when you first brought me here, Grandpa?
Yeah, you were about this high.
You said, never forget. It all begins with the corn.
Folks thought I was a little crazy.
You mean spending all your time breeding a better popcorn?
Yep.
But nobody's been able to duplicate your light, fluffy kernels.
You're right. It all comes down to this.
As Grandpa always says, do one thing and do it better than anyone.
I'm Paula Zahn.
And I'm Harry Smith. A message to female couch potatoes.
Plus Carol Burnett, Monday on CBS This Morning.
It's breakfast for your head.
Then, what's the liveliest hour on television?
Something that I'd really like to know.
People magazine calls Regis and Kathy Lee daytime's hottest hosts. Don't miss the next Live.
Tomorrow morning on WLNE 6, The Look of New England.
You may not think the gas you can save makes a difference, or the amount your whole neighborhood can save, or even your whole town. But when you see how much gas America can save every day when we all drive just 5 miles per hour slower, it's easy to see how the little bit you can do makes a lot of difference. Do your part. Drive smart.
Our next movie is named The Butcher's Wife, and it stars Demi Moore as a small-town girl on a southern offshore island who's always had a psychic gift, and she uses it one day to inform a startled bachelor that he is destined to become her husband. The bachelor, played by George Zunza, owns a butcher shop in Greenwich Village and brings his new wife home to help out behind the counter.
How about, like, no more of this hocus-pocus talk, eh?
Well, goodness, Lee, I'm just trying to help out.
Once she brings her psychic gifts to New York, the Moore character starts handing out free advice to all the people she meets, like Mary Steenburgen, a shy neighborhood woman who's always had a secret desire to be a torch singer.
I see you wearing this at a nightclub, and you're standing in front of a room full of people, and you're singing.
Another local resident is a psychiatrist played by Jeff Daniels.
I believe in female intuition, Mrs. Lemke, to an extent. It's just a specific manifestation of the collective unconscious. But you might want to be careful about ordering your life, or anyone else's, for that matter, on such a primitive instinct.
Daniels resists the notion that she might have a gift, but Moore is pretty convincing.
And there you are, barely 6. You got these red bumps all over, and they're just making you itch. You just want to scratch.
7. I was 7.
Amazing as Demi Moore's psychic gift is, however, she's capable of mistakes. For example, she realizes she's married the wrong man. She should have married the psychiatrist instead of the butcher. And the moment she makes that realization, the butcher's wife goes wrong, because it stops being a whimsical fantasy about romance and it starts indulging Hollywood's notions about a romantic pecking order. The movie seems incapable of believing that Demi Moore could fall in love with a stout, balding butcher, and so it reassigns her to the handsome psychiatrist, and this reassignment is never, ever convincing. It puts the whole movie on the wrong track and leaves a bitter taste behind. If they'd kept her sweet and gifted and left her behind the counter with that sweet, nice, middle-aged butcher and followed the original instincts of their fantasy, the movie would have felt a lot less contrived and a lot less cynical.
Okay, and everyone watching that review is going to say that you didn't like the picture, and I didn't care for it that much either, so be careful. But I just want to, you raised an obvious issue, that you didn't like it because Demi Moore couldn't fall in love with a guy who looks like you or looks like me.
Yes, I mean, what's wrong with somebody being bald? No, but really, basically in Hollywood, where they have this call to personal beauty, obviously there's something wrong here. She has lived this isolated life in this little rural community, so the first guy she sees, she falls in love with, and it's George Zunza, who looks exactly like he might be a real person.
Okay.
No, once she gets to New York, she's got to meet a movie star and has to, and the way they handled him wasn't too nice.
Okay, let me tell you, now let me review the picture, and I agree with you, but I didn't take it so personally like you did.
You're assuming I took it personally.
No. The problem for me is I thought it was going to be a winning film and really sweet, because I thought it's so great that she's going to go for this guy, and it was fresh, and he could turn out to be a wonderful guy, and there could have been some plot twist, if you're going to have one, between them that would have been sweet, that didn't need all of these other characters, frankly. My problem was that they just brought in, for the second half of the movie, a whole bunch of fairly stock characters, and all of them as a group weren't as interesting as that coupling between Moore and her.
They started with an inspiration that would have been a winner, and then it's screenplay writing class again. Oh, it's Act 2. We have to introduce the false dawn. We have to introduce the problem. We have to switch characters around here, because that's what a screenplay is. If these people would throw away their computers and just write from the heart.
Okay, but at the same time, I think that they did try to write part of this movie from the heart.
They started from the heart, then they started thinking too much.
Okay. Coming up next, the Rolling Stones on a movie screen 5 stories high. High tech meets rock and roll.
Dying all the time. Lose your dreams and you lose your mind.
Looking for something different in your daytime?
Boy, do I have a show for you.
Wait till you see Jenny Jones.
I love this. I'm paying attention.
Here's a program you can relate to.
My talk show is your talk show.
And She understands.
Is it true that ice cream's not fattening unless somebody sees you eat it?
You'll find surprises, helpful hints, and fun.
Right here on this show.
Jenny Jones.
Jenny Jones, weekdays at 10 on WLNE 6.
Every Sunday, around twilight, America gets so quiet, you can actually hear the sound of a single clock ticking. 60 Minutes with Mike Wallace, Maury Safer, Ed Bradley, Steve Croft, and Leslie Stahl. The time is Sunday night. The look is CBS.
Did you know that 1/3 of all women treated in emergency rooms in the U.S. have symptoms related to ongoing physical abuse? Or that 1/3 of all female homicide victims over 15 are killed by family members? Last year in Rhode Island, 7,000 women sought shelter from abusing partners. Over 4,000 domestic violence matters ended up in our courts. This is a very serious problem for all of us. If you are a victim of family violence, don't be silent. Tell your doctor. Together we can break the cycle that destroys lives.
Our next film is something special. It's called Rolling Stones at the Max. It's a Rolling Stones concert tour filmed in the huge IMAX process. Big pieces of film projected on curved screens that measure up to 5 and 6 stories high and as wide as well. Typically, IMAX films are about 30 or 40 minutes long, and they're shown in specially equipped IMAX theaters or museums, and their subject matter is usually a nature travelogue. But At the Max is feature length, and the Stones' recent Steel Wheels concert tour is its subject. Obviously, it's impossible to give you the IMAX experience on your TV set, but here's a shot showing how the screen dwarfs the audience. What works best are the long shots of the concert at night, the combination of an enormous field of vision and yet incredible detail. Together, that's stunning. In an interview prepared by the filmmakers, Mick Jagger explains why he chose to do what might have been just another concert film in the IMAX format.
When it was suggested we did it in this format, it was, at least it was different from doing an under 35 concert picture, which was end up in video and you see it like that. And the screen, you know, IMAX screen is so big and our stage is so big, so it was a great opportunity to do it as large as that and in a different way.
Well, first of all, I enjoyed the film enormously. The Stones have never looked or sounded better on film. The IMAX sound system envelops you as much as the imagery. The detail is remarkable. I could tell what time it was during the concert because I could read the hands on Ron Wood's watch while he was playing. It was 12:30 in the morning during the encore song Satisfaction. I think the IMAX process does work for concert material. The editing was a little monotonous to me. It was always on the beat. But let's put it this way. If I had a rock band, I want to be filmed in IMAX. The Rolling Stones at the Max opens this weekend in Los Angeles and Canada and 2 European cities, and it's going to make its way slowly around the world in the 75 IMAX theaters that can present it. Check it out.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned the hands on his watch because you were talking about the long shots, and they are spectacular.
They are.
But the close-ups are like, it's like being on stage with the Stones. I can tell you how many cigarettes Keith Richards had left in his package of Marlboro Lights. I could count them. It's amazing because the cameras are right on stage, and the picture is so big that you get an immediacy that I really haven't felt in other concert films before. I think the Stones have gotten here first. I think that you're right. Every rock band in the world is going to be jealous, and they're going to want to do this too.
Good. When we come back, a Cannes Film Festival winner about an artist's obsession with a beautiful model, Lael Nois.
Oh, no. Ellen, I'm knocked out.
Fetch Mommy. Fetch Mommy.
What are you doing out there?
When it's cold and rough outside,
Try something warm and creamy inside. Instant cream of wheat in our new honey nut flavor or original cream of wheat.
Tomorrow, you get the paper.
2 warm ways to come in from the cold.
Sinus weather, and your sinus medicine has made you drowsy. Next time, take Sudafed Sinus for relief of pain and pressure without drowsiness. Sudafed Sinus. Fast relief, not fast asleep.
Introducing Campbell's new broccoli cheese soup.
Now you're cooking. That's cooking. Cooking.
Great recipes start with Campbell's new broccoli cheese soup.
Campbell's cooking. Good.
Our next film spends 4 hours watching an aging artist as he paints a beautiful young woman, and those hours seem shorter to me than a lot of 90-minute films because I was constantly so engrossed in the artistic process and in the human tensions that were building up at the same time. The film was directed by Jacques Rivette, who won a special top prize at Cannes this year, and is called Lael Nois, which translates as The Beautiful Nuisance. In the film, Michel Piccoli plays a great painter who has not painted in 10 years. One day, a young couple comes to visit his studio, and in a burst of renewed energy, he agrees to paint the young woman. She is played by Emmanuelle Béart, who you may remember from Manon of the Spring.
J'ai bien le droit de savoir ce que je fous là, poil devant vous.
J'ai besoin de vous.
One of the fascinations of the film is that we actually follow the progress of the portraits, stroke by stroke, as he sketches her. There is a real erotic charge in the studio as the old man stages his determination to get beneath the surface of this young and quarrelsome woman.
Droite. Droite comme si vous étiez tiré au plafond.
Ça fait mal.
C'est que c'est mieux.
The movie co-stars Jane Birkin as Piccoli's wife and former model. She encourages Béart to continue modeling, even though she is growing jealous of her.
Marianne, je vous en prie. Essayez. Vous savez pas à quel point c'est important pour lui. Non. Je sais pas. Moi, je sais. Revenez demain.
Lael Nois is the most convincing film I've ever seen about the creation of a work of art, partially because of the intelligence of the direction and acting, and partly because the movie takes the time to lead us through all of the steps of this painting, from sketches to washes to watercolor to charcoal to oil. At the same time, inside the vast old French chateau where the painter lives, erotic and professional tensions begin to grow, and we can see how closely art and ego are linked together. This is a wonderful film.
I thought so too, Roger, and I was so glad that Jacques Rivette took the time to let us see the sketching, because as you watch the sketching, I saw how dramatic it was. People say, God, it's a static shot, he's just but you know what? If you stay with it, and have a little guts, you can make that sketching become very alive. And so I remember now what his hand looked like when he made a little line, or when they put a little wash in there, and that was dramatic. You know, the movies glamorize everything because they're so darn big, and so it becomes exciting when he moves his hand, and then there's more. Can I just go a little farther?
Well, okay, but if I can go back then.
All right, okay. What I liked was also the relation between the model and the painter. Because at the first time I thought, you know what? He's being a jerk. He's just being a martinet. He's got the sexual tension. She's absolutely gorgeous. She's naked a lot of the time, and so you think that's what it's really about. But then he's smart. He knows that there is a level of her which she has to get rid of. It's not just taking off clothes.
She has to be his collaborator.
And she has to relax her body, and we saw that happen. Enough time was there so we saw the drama of that happen, and I was
impressed by that. You know, when you're talking about the shots where he's sketching her, there's as much suspense in those passages as there is in a thriller. He starts with a blank piece of paper. The camera never moves. It's a very physical process. He's in there with the pen, and you can hear the scratching on the paper. With his hand, he's daubing. He's using the brush to get the wash in. You realize how much it's really a hands-on process. It isn't some kind of ethereal deal. You get all messy at the end of the day, covered with paint and covered with inspiration.
You know, we had a cult film come up for us, My Dinner with Andre, which was just about talking. I think this could become a cult film too. quote, just about painting.
I hope so. We'll be back after this.
Look what's popping up, fat-free Special K waffles from Eggo. Once you see how good fat-free can be, whoa, no, you never let go.
No way. It's all mine.
Special K waffles from Eggo.
Eggo Special K waffles. Crisp, delicious, yet every bite fat-free, cholesterol-free, and just 80 calories per waffle. See how good fat-free can be.
Oh, no, you never let go. Nah. Special K waffles from Eggo.
Now on video, it's Disney's Rescuers Down Under. What's your favorite part?
First she got trapped, then the boy saved them. He just took a knife and got 2 ropes and they was free. So then Cody fell off the cliff. And then the bird went like, The eagle takes Cody flying.
Take your kids on an adventure they'll never forget with Disney's Rescuers Down Under on video cassette.
You just gotta watch that tonight and see it.
It's Gentleman's Warehouse 2 Pursuit Sale. If you still haven't found us, find us now and find a huge selection of fall and year-round styles and fabrics. Then get 2 quality suits for $189. Hit the road now because this sale won't last long. Don't get left behind or you'll miss Gentleman's Warehouse 2 Pursuit Sale. Stop and think, where else can you get 2 fine suits for under $200? 2 suits, $189. But don't think too long. Gentleman's Warehouse 2 Pursuit Sale ends soon.
New England Tech, the technical career education specialist. Leading employers hire our graduates. Be a New England Tech graduate or compete with one. Call 467-7744. New England Tech, your #1 choice for technical career education. New England Tech, for 50 years, a leader in career education. New England Tech. New England Tech. Think about it.
Now let's recap the movies we reviewed on this show. A strongly split vote on Curly Sue from John Hughes. Roger was enchanted. I thought it was cornball all the way. 2 thumbs down for House Party 2, a sequel with little of the charm of the first picture. And 2 more thumbs down for the psychic fantasy The Butcher's Wife, a really cute premise that's sadly overwritten. 2 thumbs up for Rolling Stones At the Max, the big screen, really big screen concert film. And 2 thumbs up, way up, for Jacques Rivette's 4-hour masterpiece, Lael Nois. And I really hope that that film gets enough play around the country. It's something special.
Boy, it's worth seeing. That's it for this week. Next week we'll be back with Billy Bathgate, a gangster drama starring Dustin Hoffman and Sean Connery in an action extravaganza named Highlander 2. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
Gorton's new natural cut fillets. They cut the fat but keep the crunchy taste. You can trust the Gorton's fishermen. Ruffy's Sure Sack trash bags carry heavy loads and cost less. Sure Sack, the best value you'll ever throw away. Experience Santa Fe cologne for her, for him, forever. And discover why it gets pretty hot in Santa Fe. Purina Puppy Chow brand puppy food with more nutrition than most adult dog foods for a healthy start. Pet tested, veterinarian recommended.